Lovely viewers, welcome to yet another exciting edition of Let's Talk Ghana here on Studios 2 Television. I am your host, Eric Mawina Egbeta. On today's edition, the 24th of May 2023, the indigents of Kumawu have settled on NS Yawenim as a new member of parliament, I beg your pardon, for that particular constituency following the by-election in the constituency yesterday. We'll take you back, walk you through proceedings and bring you live excerpts of exactly what transpired yesterday. Our cameras were there and bring you details, plus get some analysis for you on what this means, winning with nearly over 60% of the valid votes cast as at the time we shot this particular video for you. And much later, there is trouble looming for us as a country as China stands the opportunity to take revenue from our mineral resources and electricity bills should the Ghanaian government fail to honor paying debts owed the Asian giants. Exactly what does this mean for you and I? We'll get details of that and a lot more if you stay with us here on Let's Talk Ghana, where we put Ghana first in all of our conversations. Right. You're welcome back to Let's Talk Ghana here on Studios 2 Television. This show airs every Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays on Studios 2 Television on Facebook as well as on YouTube. Leave a message for us as always. Trust that we'll do the reading for you and all of the conversations that we'll bring to you. We're starting off from Kumawu in the Ashanti region. That's where it all went down yesterday as constituent of the constituency took the opportunity to elect a new member of parliament to replace Philip Bazua, the late MP who died while in office. It started off peacefully, but in between, there were instances where an electoral official from the Electoral Commission had polling agents sign off on the pink sheet in the Oyoko polling area. We're taking you back and give you a compilation of the incident and how it all went yesterday in the Kumawu constituency. We'll back shortly for some reaction from the EC to some of those concerns and then get further analysis shortly. Stay with us.
47, 48, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. And I'm reporting my policeman. And I'm casting it. Ogusu Safe. And I got to fast away himself. No, come once and after you are talking to us. You are young warriors. They say, I know Baha. And I will be fine to man who says so. You will be sweaty alcohol. So also an able crossing. Now, if you are quite in a field in the origin. And I just obey and I will do so.
NS Yawenim, representing the NPP, obtained a total of 15,264 votes. Akwasi Amankwa of the NDC polled 3,723. Kwakudria, number 3, obtained 2,478 votes. Kwakudria, number 4, obtained 62 votes. Total valid votes cast stood at 21,527. 21,527. Total rejected ballots, 204. Total rejected ballots, 204. Total vote cast, 21,731. 21,721. 731, sorry. And now, by the power vested in me, Paul Ajimai, as the constituency returning officer for Kumawu, I hereby declare you, Ernest, please come over. Ernest Yao Enim of the NPP as the parliamentary member of parliament elect for Kumawu constituency. Thank you, and the good Lord bless us all.
Now, we all know the issue with Ascent North. Now, MPP, we are in a better position than the opposition party. So for now, we have cushioned ourselves and we are in a better position to implement the policies that His Excellency the President wants the party to implement in Parliament. Yeah.
So that was a compilation we put together for you here on Studios 2 Television, detailing the highlights from the by-elections in the Kumawu constituency from yesterday. What was a peaceful process really had quite a bit of misunderstanding in some particular areas, particularly the Oyoko area where an electoral official forced polling agents allegedly to sign pink sheets even before the elections could start. There was another instance at Odobing and the likes. But let's take a listen to Dr. Siribo Kweku. He is the Director of Electoral Affairs at the Electoral Commission, speak to the concerns and the challenges at Oyoko. We return for some analysis for you shortly.
Yeah, so I think our officer didn't do well because he should have paid attention for them to complete the person that he was talking of before he moved on to another issue. But the other issue is that the agents to also didn't also do well because signing the results means that you have accepted the results when the ballot papers have not been counted. So our officer didn't do well. The agents of both NPP and NDC also didn't do well. But it should be on record that it wasn't one particular party agent that signed. Both of them signed. And we have replaced that sheet with another sheet.
What about the officer? Has he been replaced?
No, we haven't replaced him. Because from the explanation he gave, that he didn't ask them to sign. He completed his portion and gave them that they should write their names against the parties they are representing. Whilst he was doing identity work, so when he came, he realized that they have been signed, and our attention was called to it, and we have rectified that.
I know, because I'm privy to this, that you spent more than 2 weeks training your officers to take charge as far as this particular process is concerned. Is this something that you will consider as a major flaw? Because you've worked for months to get this done, and something like this happens.
So if the explanation he gave is the truth, that you cannot fault him much, because according to if you have been observing elections, a lot of activities take place before, during, and after. So he was saying that when he completed his portion, he asked them to put their names there, and the people went beyond and signed. Right, so he didn't ask them to sign. If that's the case, then we can fault him for not supervising them. But if the initial issue that I heard that he forced them was the issue, and even forcing them to, the question is adults who can force you to do something against what you have been trained to do for. So I'm tempted to believe that the people mistakenly signed, and that form had been replaced. So whatever the mistake that came about, we have resolved that.
And will you say that confidence restored? Because the NDC is not only the NDC, but the other opposition parties are not happy, and it looks like it is dwindling, and it looks like it is affecting the very confidence that they had even before the exercise.
When we are doing election, an agent makes a mistake and it's ratified, and that dwindles the confidence in it. Then that one we can't do anything about it.
That's Dr. Siribo Kweku speaking there. Let's get on the telephone lines now and pick thoughts as to exactly what's transpired in the Kumawu constituency. Jonathan Asante-Ochoa, he's a political analyst with the University of Cape Coast, has joined us on the telephone lines. Mr. Asante-Ochoa, many thanks for speaking to us. He's a political science analyst with the University of Cape Coast. Many have made the case that this is a dress rehearsal for 2024. What are your thoughts?
The dress rehearsal for 2024, then I think that the person is unrealistic and doesn't know what political analysis is all about. I mean, if you are contesting a by-election in your stronghold, I think the NPP rather struggled because they couldn't tell what the electorate are capable of. And that's the more reason why they were forced to motivate them, to cajole them, to go to the polls and cast their ballot. Of course, we saw the distribution of, clothes, cups of rice, monetary inducement here and there, and accusations that have been leveled, against them, against them, so to speak. So I think that it would be a mere exaggeration for anyone to suggest that this address has. In fact, the real test for the ruling government and that of the opposition, aspiring to win after 2024 is Asin North. And I think that the stakes are quite high in Asin North than in Kumawu. And I think that the hit is rather on the NPP in Kumawu, and that's the more reason why they went extra length to do the things that they did.
And so you don't see it as dress rehearsal, but in terms of the general outplay of how things panned out, would you say everything has gone on well?
Well, as long as we have not heard anything untoward, I think that everything has gone well. I think that the NDC will have to be a bit more vigilant and organize themselves, creditably. The point is that, of course, they needed to save their face, as it were, because this is the major opposition party. It's readying themselves to win elections for the 2024. So there was the need for representation. That apart, for them to even come second, ahead of the independent candidate in a by-election, it's quite good. And the NPP themselves ought to be worried because the turnout was low. The voter apathy in areas such as Ashanti region in its entirety is quite high. And they are much aware of that. It's just that they are playing the ostrich. So for me, it is much ado about nothing.
Right.
And all my analysis pointed to the fact that the NDC wanted to see how their numbers will show up in the by-election rather than thinking of winning, because that is a difficult thing to do as far as the Ashanti region and the kind of indigenes that are there is concerned.
Just finally on the voter inducement claim that you make and what you say has been very copious in all of this. We saw the special prosecutor invite some members within the NDC during their delegates primaries. Should we be seeing similar action from the special prosecutor following what we've seen in the Kumawu constituency?
Well, I think that the special prosecutor is a hypocrite. I'm just being mindful of my diction. I think he's a hypocrite, and the law that is applying is selective. And besides, most of the things that he says he's going to do will not end anywhere. It's much ado about nothing. It's just a face-saving kind of measure. Of course, I will rather extend. I have already said that the kinds of things that we've seen being distributed, this voter influence and vote buying, he will have to investigate that. He shouldn't even be prompted, because nobody prompted him to do the one that he did for the first one. So what stops him from saying that I've invited those that I've seen in the viral videos, to investigate the kinds of things that they did. And I think that if he's not able to do so, then he's not the special prosecutor that we all think he is.
Mr. Asante-Okyere, I appreciate that you could speak to us.
Welcome.
Right. That's Jonathan Asante-Okyere. He is a political analyst with the University of Cape Coast, speaking to us this morning on the stakes from the by-elections in the Kumawu constituency. When we return, we'll take you through those worrying details as captured by the IMF in relation to what could happen to revenue resources, or revenue from our natural resources and electricity, should we default in payment of loans to China. This is still Let's Talk Ghana. We'll return shortly after this. Welcome back to Let's Talk Ghana here on Studios 2 Television. The show airs every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays here on Studios 2 Television on YouTube as well as on Facebook. We're going on to our second conversation. It will be brief, but it promises to be one that leaves you a bit scared and worried. I say this because China could have access to Ghana's mineral revenue and electricity sales in default of 4 loans. That's according to the International Monetary Fund. And I'll just walk you through the details as I have it here. And the IMF really is a 127 plus page report which they've detailed in explicit content the deal with the Ghanaian government and what could happen. Now we have 4 loans which have been taken from China which have been collateralized. And as a result, these 4 loans, should we default in paying them, then it means that the Chinese government could have access to revenue from our mineral resources and as well from our electricity revenue generation. That is a worry for many who have been hit by this news, and we're going to go on to the telephone lines and just pick quick thoughts for you on this. But let me run you through the loan agreement as we have them captured. And I'm going to walk you through those details. And so in 2007, there was a loan agreement as secured by the Kumawu administration for the Bui Hydro Power Projects. That was in 2007. And then in 2012, the second part of the loan for the Bui Hydro Project was secured. Still in 2012, there was a third compact, and that all of those Bui agreement or loan agreements have been collateralized with cocoa exports to the oil exports, and those range from 2013 to 2019. They include the Western Corridor Gas Infrastructure Project, then the Integrated National Security Communications Enhancement Network, and then the construction of 11 coastal fishing landing sites, and then the Accra Intelligent Traffic Management System and road completion. Even that, the last one I read to you, is a subject of judgment debt. But should we default in paying these loans? We're going to see revenue in oil exports begin to go to the Chinese government, and that could be dire for us. The last two, or the last one rather, is on bauxites. That's the Sino-Hydro deal, which was struck by the Ghanaian government in 2018 thereabout, which was to come in for road infrastructure and the likes. Let's get on the phone and engage the thoughts of Dr. Julius Carter. He's an international economist. Just quick thoughts from him as to exactly what this means. Dr. Julius Carter has joined us on phone. Let's pick his thoughts now. So, Doc, talk to us just briefly, your general thoughts on these revelations as captured in the IMF report and what it could mean for the ordinary Ghanaian, particularly on revenue generation for the Ghanaian government should we default.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me, Doc?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
I'm asking. Right.
You see, you know that the conditions under which the IMF has given this loan are strictly on fiscal discipline. And the fiscal discipline, when we talk about the fiscal discipline, we're talking about the revenue management systems. And the revenue management system form part of what the natural resources that we have, form part of how we will manage the natural resources that will generate the revenue, and how we manage the tax system in the country. And to get to that strict compliance and make sure that we meet the standard of the IMF, the bottom line is that we need to have a clear sense of purpose towards fiscal discipline and be able to know that our government consumption levels are reduced considerably against the income, which is from the revenues. If these revenues are being managed well, not using extravagant methods of expenditure, then we are good to go for the next round of the bailout.
Right.
But if we don't do that, we're going to have what we call a downturn again against the IMF or World Bank decisions to support the economy. So this is important, and it's a very important question, and it is important for IMF to stand by its principles, because you know that they're in the country monitoring every step we take. So we got to guard against it. And we have to make sure that our natural resources, which are gold, diamond, and all the rest, timber and the rest, are put into very good management system, which falls under fiscal discipline as well, so that we don't misuse the resources. We have to manage it well,
right,
to make a successful end.
Right, and so managing it well is the surest way of not finding ourselves in these rather dire circumstances.
Sure. That's the way to go.
Right then, Dr. Julius Carter, I appreciate that you could provide such quick insights for us.
Thank you very much, please.
That's Dr. Julius Carter. He is an international economist speaking to us this morning here on Let's Talk Ghana, and that's the news, and that's his verdict, and that's how we will end today's edition of Let's Talk Ghana here on Studios 2 Television. As always, a pleasure to come your way with matters that put Ghana first in all of our conversations. Catch us same time on Friday when we return with another exciting edition of the show. I am Eric Mawina Egbeta. Do stay blessed.
Studios 2 TV. The truth is here in your eyes.